Hey, good morning, students. Let us start today the next topic of the first module, and that is a sensor. Last time we have studied the signal analysis in two domains, that is in time domain and frequency domain. And the earlier topics we have studied in the first lecture. And before starting to the topic sensor, let me recap the last lecture that we have studied. And in signal analysis, how to differentiate the signal in time domain and frequency domain that we have studied, and how signal becomes less complex or the complexity of the signal is reduced in frequency domain, that we have studied last time. And the next topic after that we have studied is the signal to noise ratio, and we have defined what is meant by a noise. So noise is an unwanted signal or disturbance exists in the signal. Signal to noise ratio, it's a ratio of average signal power to the average noise power, and hence signal to noise ratio can be written as it's a signal power divided by noise power. And the same signal to noise ratio we have written in terms of voltage also, and if you convert in decibels, we'll get a signal to noise ratio equals to 10 log of signal power divided by noise power, and then we have converted into in terms of voltage. So signal to noise ratio in decibel in terms of a voltage comes out to be 20 log of signal voltage divided by noise voltage. And finally we have studied that high value of signal to noise ratio is good for transmitter and receiver. After that we have studied what is meant by errors, and there are three different types of error. So error is nothing but it's a difference between measured value and observed value or true value. And the first type of error is called experimental error or gross error or personal error. And how these experimental error or personal errors are introduced while doing an experiment that we have studied. It's an experiment, it's an example, and how we can reduce the personal errors, that also we have studied. After that we have studied the three to four types of systematic error. The first type of systematic error is a zero error, and of course zero errors are of two types, positive zero error and negative zero error. And after that the second type of a systematic error is environmental error. Third type is instrumental error, and fourth one is observational error. How these errors occurs during an observation that we have studied, and the last type of an error that we have studied is a random error, and how to reduce that random error, this also we have studied last time. After that, three different types of errors we have studied: absolute error, relative error and percentage error. And I hope you have understood these types also very well. Now let's today go ahead for the sensor. Now what do you mean by sensor? You have been using these sensors in your day-to-day life. Whenever you goes or visits of various malls, you will find that at entry there will be a sensor. Or anywhere you go, you can find sensors many times. So sensor is nothing but it's a device or a machine whose main purpose is to detect the changes in its surrounding, and once the changes in the surrounding that sensor detects, after that sensor sends to the processor that information, that is called as a sensor. or this is a device which measures or detects or sense a physical quantity like pressure, temperature, gas, humidity, force, fluid, etc. There are various physical quantities which can be sensed by using the sensors, and converts that detected or sensed measured physical quantity to a readable form. This is called as a sensor. Now, these sensors are used in various forms. The performance characteristics of sensors are mainly divided into two categories. The first is a static performance characteristics of a sensor, and second is a dynamic performance characteristics of the sensor. Now, what do we mean by static performance characteristics of sensor? It is nothing but a set of a criteria which are used to measure the quantity which are constant. That means that doesn't varies with respect to time. Those kind of characteristics are called as static performance characteristics of a sensor. And there are total 13 static characteristics for a sensor. Let me list all those 13s. The very first static characteristics of a sensor is accuracy. Second is precision. Third one is sensitivity. Fourth one is linearity. Fifth is reproducibility. Sixth one is repeatability. Seventh is resolution. Eighth is threshold. Ninth static characteristics of a sensor is drift. 10th one is stability. 11th is tolerance. 12th is range, or it is also called as a span. And 13 is hysteresis. Now, being a PG student, you are already familiar with its various names. By its name, you can judge its characteristics. And let's go for the very first static characteristics of a sensor, and it is accuracy. Now, you have been using this accuracy word very commonly, and very precisely you have studied also what is meant by accuracy in 11th 12th standard or in the UG also. Now, what do you mean by accuracy or accurate? If your answer to any problem is close to your known answer, then that answer is said to be a very accurate one. If it is exactly equal, then it is accurate answer. We commonly use this word. The same thing is used in case of a sensor's accuracy here also. Now let us study what is the accuracy of a sensor. Accuracy is the degree of closeness of a measured or calculated value to its actual value or a standard value or a true value. Now, once the sensor is designed, manufactured, that means it has a standard value or actual value. And once the sensor measures a particular physical quantity, and if that measured value is very close to the actual value, then it is called as its measurement is very accurate, and therefore we can say accuracy is the degree of closeness of a measured value or a calculated value. And this accuracy in case of a sensor is expressed in three different ways. The first way of expressing the accuracy of a sensor is the point accuracy, and this point accuracy is specified at only one particular point of scale, and it doesn't give any information about the accuracy of other point on the scale. The other way of expressing the accuracy of a sensor is accuracy as a percent of scale span. When one instrument has a uniform scale, then its accuracy is expressed in terms of a range. Suppose you are having an ammeter whose range is 0 to 100 meter, then the scale of span is from 0 to 100. That's the meaning of accuracy as the 100% of the scale span. Now the third way of expressing the accuracy of a sensor is accuracy as a percent of true value. The best way to understand the accuracy is to specify the accuracy in terms of a true value of the quantity being measured, and therefore I can say accuracy is equals to error divided by true value into 100. That gives you the accuracy, where error is equals to, it's a mod of measured value minus true value, which we have already studied in error topic. Now let's move for the next static characteristic of a sensor, and the next static characteristics of the sensor is a precision, and we know this precision is the measure of degree of agreement within the group of measurement. Let me explain a little bit more clearly. Of course, we are going to study the example of it also, so that you can understand with that example very clearly what is meant by precision. So precision is the degree to which repeated measurements under unchanged conditions shows the same results, and this precision is the closeness within the measurements. Now let us consider an example. Suppose you are having a solution and its concentration is a 2.04 molar. Now if suppose a chemist performs an experiment to check this, whether the concentration's molarity is 2.04 or not, and the value he obtains after performing his experiment are 1.74 molar, 1.73 molar and 1.75 molar. Now in this example, we have to understand what is a difference between accuracy and precision. Now in this example, the molar concentration values of the solutions are close to each other. That means 1.74, 1.73, 1.75. All these three observed values by the chemist are very close to each other, but those are not close to the actual concentration mentioned in the problem. The actual concentration of the solution mentioned in the problem is 2.04 molar, which is somewhat far away from the observed readings. This means that chemist's work is more precise but not an accurate, because whatever the values that chemist has observed, those values are somewhat far away from 2.04. But the measured, all the three values are very close to each other, 1.74, 1.73, 1.75, which are very close. It means those values are very precise. That means the chemist work is a precise but not an accurate. Now let us suppose other case of the same example. Now suppose the same chemist repeats an experiment and obtains the values of the concentration of a molar solution equals to 2.08 molar, 2.31 molar and 1.76 molar. The average of these three observations is 2.05 molar. Now this average of the observation 2.05 molar is very close now to the actual value, and the actual value of the concentration of the solution is a 2.04 molar, and therefore 2.04 and 2.05 are very close to each other, and thus this measurement second time performed by a chemist is more accurate but not precise. Why not it is precise now? Because the observed three readings, that is 2.08, 2.31, 1.73 are not close to the original value of the concentration of the solution 2.04, but the average value calculated is very close, that is 2.05 is very close to the concentration of the molar 2.05, and hence it is more accurate and not precise. Now let's try to understand more clearly by considering one more case. Now let's consider next time, third time, the chemist performs the or work out the experiment with the help of his colleague and record the values of the concentration of the solution 2.05 molar, 1.99 molar and 2.08 molar. Now these all three observations are now very close to the actual value 2.04 molar as well as close to each other also. Therefore, the third case is more precise than earlier two, as well as it is more accurate also, because all the three readings are close to 2.04 molar as well as all the three readings are very close to each other also. Therefore, the third case in which the chemist performs the same experiment with the help of his colleague is more accurate and more precise. Hope you have understood the difference between preciseness and accuracy with this example. Now let us go ahead for the next static characteristics of the sensor, and the next static characteristics of the sensor is a sensitivity. And what do you mean by sensitivity? We all know by common sense you can easily judge what is meant by sensitivity. We are using this word commonly. You are very sensitive, that means you are giving a very quick response whatever you receive from the next person or from your friends. Like that, the meaning of the sensitivity for the sensor is also same. Now the sensitivity of the sensor is defined as it is the quickest response of an instrument to a smallest change in the measured variable or any physical quantity, and this sensitivity is equals to, it's a ratio of change in output of an instrument to the change in value of the quantity to be measured, or I can also say sensitivity is equals to change in output divided by change in input. Now if the response curve is linear, then sensitivity is said to be a good. That means if both quantities are directly proportional to each other on the axis, x-axis and y-axis, that means sensitivity is more, your sensor is giving more quick response. But if response is not linear, non-linear, then sensitivity of the instrument is said to be a poor. Now what do you mean by response curve? Response curve is a curve which shows the relation between input and output. Now same thing you can use this for the response between you and your friend also. If someone is giving very quick response to you, that means that particular person is very sensitive for your things or facts. Hope you have understood the sensitivity of the sensor also. Now let's go for the next static characteristics of the sensor, and the next static characteristics of the sensor is a linearity. And what do you mean by linearity? This linearity of the sensor is a measure of quality of the sensor. Linearity is the ratio of maximum deviation between the actual characteristic curve and fitting straight line in the full range to the output value of the full range. If for a change in output, the output change is the same, then the measure is a linear. It's like a linear curve or linear graph. If the input and outputs are same, then the measure is said to be a linear. And this linearity of the sensor is classified in 4 different ways, which I have mentioned in on the screen. The very first classification of the sensor, linearity of the sensor is endpoint or terminal linearity. Second is independent linearity. Fourth one is a theoretical linearity, and third one is a theoretical linearity, and fourth one is a least square linearity. These are the four different ways of classification of the linearity. We are not going to into a details of classification of the linearity. You can read out the classification of the linearity. That is not important as far as your exam point of view. Now the next static characteristics of the sensor is a repeatability. Now what is meant by this repeatability? It is like repeating the observations or measurements of an experiment is called as a repeatability. The same thing is here also in case of a sensor. Now repeatability of a sensor is an ability of a sensor to reproduce a group of measurement. Reproduce a group of measurement, that means that sensor gives you again a various measurements or a group of measurement of same input under same operating condition. That is called as reproducibility. That means if to sense a particular situation, if you suppose you fitted your sensor somewhere and for a particular operating condition, that means for a particular temperature of the room, if you want to repeat those observations, then that sensor has an ability to reproduce those measured values again with the same input and same operating conditions or surrounding conditions. That is called as the repeatability, and it shows the performance of the sensor. If particular sensor is repeating a group of measurement again with the same input value and operating conditions, that means the sensor is good. Sensors are required for a safety or a product of the quality, and therefore they should be very reliable. The next static characteristics of the sensor is a reproducibility, and this reproducibility is nothing but is the degree of closeness with which a given value may be repeatedly measured. If the output of the measurement remains the same, then no matter who and how many times the experiment is performing, this is called as a reproducibility. It is an ability to perform an assigned function for a specific period of time. Now both terms, reproducibility and repeatability, describes the spread of output readings for the same input, but the spread is known as repeatability if measurement conditions are constant, and is known as reproducibility if the measurement conditions are varying. Now these all four static characteristics of the sensors, hope you have understood very well. Now we'll stop now here, and next time we'll go for next various static characteristics of the sensor. Total 7 static characteristics of the sensor are left, that we'll see in the next lecture. Thank you.